Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. As you are no doubt aware, Jarrell Miller and Fabio Wardley are not on each other's Christmas card lists. No. They have a fight coming up on June the 7th. This is at the Portman Road football ground in Ipswich, which is Ipswich's Fabio's home city. That's his dream come true because he wanted to have a stadium fight. He's got it. Queensbury have delivered it, as Frank Warren apparently promised he would. And along comes big bad baby Miller, the PED enthusiast who, shouldn't be boxing. I've made this clear before. I think he should be banned from boxing for life. For crimes against intelligence more than anything, because not only has he cheated, but he has cheated in such an idiotic way that I find it kind of insulting that he thought he could ever get away with it, insulting people's intelligence by being so glaringly idiotic, apart from the fact, of course, that he's further endangering the lives of other boxers in what is an already extremely dangerous sport. But when he was asked about this, Frank Warren said, look, in my opinion, and he stopped short of saying he should have been banned for life, but he said, I think if you're caught with PEDs, it should be a life ban. So essentially he's saying that. He says, but we work within the parameters of what is legal, and he has served his time, whether we agree that the punishment, if you can call it that, I think it was feeble, but whether you agree with it or not, he served his time, therefore he's cleared to fight, and he will be tested, VADA tested, all the rest of it. So Warren has taken the sort of, is it a sitting on the fence? I suppose it is in a sense, isn't it? Or he's got that get out of jail free card. Don't look at me, I'm just the promoter. Look at the people who didn't ban him for life. But I think people should be banned for life, Hypocrisy, double standards, I mean, whatever you want to say, that's a video for another time. But nevertheless, they're going to fight. And when the fight was made, I thought, this is the wrong style for Wardley. This is a bad matchup because Miller is so big, has such a good engine, even if he is off the peds. Let's put it this way, against Dubois, against Ruiz, he showed, with those of his last two fights, which was a 10-round stoppage defeat, which was 2 fights ago in December of 2023, which we know about. Dubois stopped him late. And then he had a majority decision draw with Andy Ruiz. And I thought he won that fight, actually. Not by much, 115, 130 maybe. But I thought he did beat Ruiz. Ruiz, of course, is another guy who's very, very much overweight, always. But in fairness to Miller, he was, I think, 330, 333 for Dubois, which is probably too big. And for Ruiz, he'd lost about 30 pounds. He was still in excess of 300. So it'll be interesting to see what he comes in against Wardley. He's obviously a very big man, with or without the peds. But I was thinking, because of his engine, because of his size, because he's got a bit more skill, a bit more ring IQ and nous than people are giving him credit for. I thought, okay, Wardley, hard puncher, spiteful guy. I just don't like the matchup. And some people have said this is too early for Wardley. I don't agree with that. I mean, I know he didn't have an extensive amateur career. He didn't have an amateur career. Wasn't he a white-collar fighter or something, and discovered by Dillian White or something along those lines? But he has got 18 pro fights. He's 30 years old now. He's got the one draw against Fraser Clark. But when you look at what he did to Clark in the rematch, which was his last fight, the one-round obliteration, that was in October of last year. He looked good. He looked good. I mean, he's proved he can do the 12. He got that split draw with Clark, but he did have Clark on the floor in the 5th round, I think it was. And Clark himself was, I know he's not as big as Miller, but he was in that rematch. What was he, like 270, something like that, 272 maybe? I mean, that's still a big guy. And Wardley himself comes in the 240s. So he's not one of these gigantic heavyweights. He's a big man. He's 6'5", 240. That's what is that, 17 stone roughly? Yeah, he's a unit. But it's facing Miller will not be the first time that he's faced someone who's bigger. And don't forget, I mean, he fought David Adelaide. Adelaide is another guy who isn't a massive heavyweight. I mean, we live in the land of the giants, don't we? We think, Joshua, the Klitschko's, Fury, these gigantic people. But Adelaide has just become, British champion. He won the English title, did Solomon Dakers in one round, and then he controversially stopped Jamie TKV. I mean, that's not a bad result in retrospect. And he cut his teeth quite nicely against people like Michael Coffey and Nathan Gorman. And Nathan, I think, was in the 270s, wasn't he? He's another guy who comes in overweight. He did Nick Webb in a round. Eric Molina turned up for the pay, didn't he? Molina, that wasn't much of a win. But, I don't think it's fair to say this is too early for him. Not really. No, I don't think so. Not really. And okay, you can say Miller's faced, a better opposition. I agree, but bear in mind that, as I've said before, I think his entire record should be called no contests, all of them, because we don't know whether he was juiced or not. Why the fuck should we give him the benefit of the doubt? He's failed 2 excessive PED tests, for 2 tests for excessive PED use, which involved all sorts of injections and cycles and all the bloody rest of it. Nah, get rid of him. Get rid of him. And ironically, despite his size, he's actually shorter by about an inch, I think, than Wardley, but he's a huge, huge man. But bearing in mind that Wardley is the age he is, 6 years younger than Miller at 30, bearing in mind he's taken on, he blew away Fraser Clark, who was not as big as Miller, but nevertheless still much bigger, 30 pounds bigger than Wardley. And bearing in mind, he's clearly got a big punch and has a spiteful nature, very spiteful nature, Fabio Wardley. He was shaken momentarily against Eric Molina and buzzed a little bit by Nathan Gorman. Maybe buzzed is a bit of an exaggeration, but he was clipped and he got his attention. And yet he suddenly explodes. Certainly when he lands a punch, when he lands a clean punch and he thinks he might have you hurt, he erupts, and he's fast. And so thinking about it, and I always like to play devil's advocate, even though I do think it's a bit of a gamble, the matchup, in terms of styles for Wardley. Nevertheless, it wouldn't surprise me. But let's put it this way. Don't think that Wardley can't hurt Miller if he catches him like he caught Clark with a heavy, heavy combination. Wardley hits hard, and doesn't matter how much Miller weighs, if he's caught on the jaw or the temple, he can be buzzed, hurt, and all the rest of it. And I mean, Wardley himself said, you seem to forget I broke a man's skull, which he did. I mean, he gave Fraser was it a fractured cheekbone? Because we all thought it was the jaw, but I think it was the cheekbone actually. And Fraser had that disfigured face. So I would not dismiss Wardley. A few people have shared my view that it's a bit of a dodgy matchup, a bit of a calculated gamble matchup for Wardley. But don't think, again, I think it is. I agree with that point. But don't think Wardley can't hurt Miller. He can. And Miller is, huffing and puffing and talking like a bollocks like he's always done. But he's trying to get under Wardley's skin. All this crap about Wardley making a track and slagging him off, calling him saying big baby killer and all this. It's all like a shite, Wardley is a pretty cool character. He's quite well spoken. I mean, he's quite an educated guy. He sounds like quite an educated guy, and he's articulate and he's bright. But don't mistake the killer instinct. Don't mistake it for that. I mean, I think this is the more I think about this fight, the more intrigued I am by it. So I don't know what you think, but leave your comments below. Let me know if you agree with me. I'm not going to make a prediction video yet, obviously, but I've just been thinking about this matchup and how intriguing it is. Let me know what you think. Comments below. Thank you, as always, for watching the video, spending time on this channel. Hit the like button if you like the video. Spread the word about Joe Stunner Boxing, and if you're new, subscribe. It takes a second, cost you nothing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very, very much indeed, as always, and I'll catch you later. Bye for now.